Everyone in the courtroom thought they knew the truth. They believed the wealthy businessman standing before them was the cold, arrogant husband everyone feared. His wife sat across the room with folded arms, convinced she had finally won. After years of resentment, arguments, and emotional distance, she was ready to walk away with half of everything he owned. But what no one knew was that the man sitting quietly in the expensive suit was not the husband they thought he was. He was his identical twin brother. A brother who had spent his entire life being ignored, abused, and treated as if he never mattered. And before the day ended, one secret would change every life forever. If you enjoy emotional stories filled with shocking twists, family drama, and inspiring endings, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Now let's begin. Ethan and Evan Carter were identical twins, but their lives couldn't have been more different. They were born only minutes apart, yet fate placed them on opposite sides of happiness. Their father adored Ethan because he was confident, athletic, and naturally gifted in business. Evan, on the other hand, was quiet, artistic, and gentle. Their father saw kindness as weakness. Every mistake Ethan made was quickly forgiven. Every mistake Evan made was punished. When they were children, Ethan often protected his younger twin from bullies. But as they grew older, success changed him. After taking over the family company, Ethan became colder every year. Evan left home with almost nothing. He worked small jobs, repaired furniture, painted portraits, and lived in a tiny apartment. Although he struggled financially, he never stopped believing that kindness mattered more than money. Years passed without the brothers speaking. Ethan married a beautiful woman named Victoria. She loved luxury, expensive vacations, and social status. At first, she admired Ethan's ambition, but after marriage, their relationship slowly turned toxic. Both of them became proud. Both refused to apologize. Their mansion grew larger while their hearts grew smaller. One rainy evening, Ethan unexpectedly appeared outside Evan's apartment. It was the first time they had seen each other in nearly 12 years. Evan opened the door in complete shock. His brother looked exhausted. Dark circles surrounded his eyes, and his confident smile had disappeared. "I need your help," Ethan whispered. Evan welcomed him inside without asking questions. Over cups of hot coffee, Ethan finally confessed everything. He had been diagnosed with a rare heart condition. Doctors warned him that stress could kill him. His marriage was falling apart. His company was being investigated. He trusted no one. "I just need a few weeks to disappear," Ethan said quietly. "Please, take my place." Evan stared at him. "You want me to pretend to be you? Only until I recover." Evan immediately refused. Lying had never been part of his character. But Ethan explained that investors, employees, and even his wife would panic if they discovered he had disappeared. "If everything collapses," Ethan said, "thousands of workers will lose their jobs." After a long silence, Evan finally agreed. Not for his brother, for the innocent families depending on the company. The next morning, professional stylists cut Evan's hair exactly like Ethan's. He wore tailored suits, luxury watches, designer shoes. Looking into the mirror felt strange. For the first time, he understood how identical they truly were. Only one difference remained: their eyes. Ethan's eyes had become cold. Evan's still reflected compassion. When Evan entered the mansion, Victoria barely looked at him. "You're late," she snapped. "No apology." Evan quietly apologized anyway. Victoria looked surprised. Her husband had never apologized before. At dinner, she criticized everything. The way he held his fork. The way he answered questions. Even the color of his tie. Normally Ethan would argue. Instead, Evan smiled politely. "I'm sorry if I disappointed you." Victoria rolled her eyes. She mistook kindness for weakness. Over the following days, her behavior became worse. She ordered him around like a servant. She mocked him during parties. She insulted him in front of employees. "You've become pathetic," she laughed one afternoon. Evan simply listened. Years of being mistreated by his father had taught him patience. Meanwhile, something unusual began happening. The house staff slowly smiled again. The gardeners received bonuses. Drivers were thanked. Kitchen workers were invited to eat proper meals instead of leftovers. Everyone noticed that Mr. Carter had somehow become kinder. Even the company changed. Instead of firing struggling employees, Evan listened to their stories. He approved medical leave. He created scholarship programs for workers' children. Productivity unexpectedly increased. Employees worked harder because someone finally respected them. Victoria couldn't understand what had happened. One evening she entered the office expecting another argument. Instead she found her husband helping the janitor pick up supplies after a shelf collapsed. "You actually cleaned the floor?" she asked with disbelief. "They work just as hard as we do," Evan answered. "They deserve respect." Victoria laughed. "You've completely lost your mind." Weeks passed. Little by little, Victoria noticed something else. Her husband actually listened when she spoke. He remembered small details. He asked whether she had eaten lunch. He noticed when she looked tired. Nobody had treated her with such quiet kindness before. She found herself becoming confused. One night she accidentally cut her hand while preparing dinner. Before she could react, Evan gently cleaned the wound and wrapped it with a bandage. His movements were careful, almost tender. Victoria stared at him. "Since when have you known first aid?" Evan smiled. "I learned while volunteering at community shelters." The answer slipped out before he realized his mistake. Victoria frowned. Ethan has never volunteered anywhere. He quickly changed the subject. But doubt had entered her mind. A few days later she found an old sketchbook hidden inside his office drawer. Inside were beautiful pencil drawings. Children playing, old couples holding hands, street musicians. At the bottom of every page appeared the signature. Evan. Victoria froze. She remembered hearing Ethan once mention that his brother loved drawing. Her heart began racing. That evening she secretly searched through old family photographs. The differences suddenly became obvious. The smile, the eyes, the expressions. She confronted him immediately. "Who are you?" Evan stayed silent. "I asked who you are." Finally he answered. "I'm Evan." Victoria stepped backward as if the floor had disappeared beneath her. Every cruel word she had spoken over the past month echoed inside her mind. Every insult, every humiliation, every moment she treated him like dirt. And this gentle man had endured everything without revealing the truth. Tears filled her eyes. "Where's Ethan?" "Recovering." "You should have told me." "It wasn't my secret to tell." Victoria covered her face and cried harder than she had in years. "I treated you horribly. You treated me the way you believed your husband deserved to be treated." His calm answer hurt even more. The following morning Ethan unexpectedly returned. He looked healthier, stronger. Victoria immediately hugged him. Then she stepped back. "I want a divorce." Ethan stared in confusion. "What?" "I realized I stopped loving the man you became years ago." She turned toward Evan. "And I realized what kindness actually looks like." Ethan finally understood everything. He wasn't jealous. He was ashamed. For the first time in years, he saw himself honestly. He apologized to his brother with tears in his eyes. "I abandoned you. I became exactly like Dad." Evan embraced him. "We still have time to become better men." Months later, Ethan stepped away from the company and focused on rebuilding his life. He attended therapy. He apologized to former employees. He repaired relationships he had broken through pride. Victoria never rushed into another relationship. Instead, she spent months volunteering at shelters where Evan had once served. She wanted to become worthy of the kindness she had received. As they worked together helping strangers, friendship slowly grew between them. Not because of wealth, not because of appearances, but because respect had replaced pride. Years later, after both had healed from their painful pasts, Evan and Victoria quietly married in a small garden surrounded by children from the shelter and employees whose lives Evan had changed. Even Ethan stood proudly beside his brother as best man. During the reception, Ethan raised his glass. "When we were boys," he said, "I thought strength meant power. My brother taught me that real strength is choosing kindness, even when the world treats you unfairly." The guests applauded. Evan simply smiled. He had spent his entire life being overlooked, insulted, and underestimated. Yet he never allowed cruelty to define who he became. In the end, it wasn't wealth, revenge, or pride that transformed their lives. It was compassion, because kindness has a remarkable way of revealing the truth, healing broken hearts, and giving people a second chance they never believed they deserved. And sometimes, the person treated like they were worth the least becomes the one everyone realizes was worth the most all along.